I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to the Conversation with Al McFarlane. I'm glad to be here and glad to have you along as well. Well, on Fridays, we dedicate the program to a project we call the Healing Circle. It's usually co-led by my colleague and one of my mentors, Dr. B, Dr. Bravada Garrett Akinsanya. She's not here today, recuperating, healing. The healer is healing. And so we wish her continued progress in her journey, and she'll be with us next week. Next week, importantly, will be the fifth day of a series of six broadcasts, daily broadcasts, celebrating or memorializing the life and the tragic loss of George Floyd. Insight News has declared next week, beginning Monday the 20th through the 25th, George Floyd Week. And we invite all of you anywhere in Twin Cities or anywhere around the country, around the world, to weigh in on a series of wonderful conversations, important, timely conversations, lest we forget, lest we let it fade into the memory, and lest we then make ourselves once again available to be pushed to the margin, to be forgotten, to be abused. If we don't remember and if we don't act on the memory and the knowledge that experience gives us every day, we lose. We intend to not lose, we intend to win. Winning for us is probably different from what other people think winning is. And winning for us is not a question of winning or losing. Our winning is a situation that means everybody lives, everybody gains, everybody grows. So we want you to join us all week next week, starting Monday, for George Floyd Week here on the Conversation with Al McFarlane. Dr. B will be with us next Friday at the Healing Circle. We're going to be having people from around the world weigh in on the conversation: educators, politicians, government leaders, community leaders, grassroots activists, ordinary people who got something to say, who got feelings that we believe and we know are important. So we want you to be involved in that process as well. And wherever you are, if you've got a comment, a thought, an objection that you want to offer to this conversation, we welcome it, we invite it. And just reach out to either info@Insight News, or you can reach out to our showrunner, our producer, Cooper, at insightnews.com. If you want to be on the show any day next week, we'd love to have you in. Remnant Girl Lit, we're going to sign you up. Thank you so much. We want to hear everybody. Everybody is welcome. We're going to do what we deliver, and that is robust conversation, a conversation that moves us forward. What is the reason why? And the question we ask is, how does it free us? Our mission is freedom. Our mission is justice. And our conversation should lead us down that path, up that path towards freedom and towards justice. Well, one of the building blocks of that obviously is food justice, the environment, food justice, cooperation, cooperative economics, food justice. And one of the masterminds of that discussion is with me today. It's my friend Michael Cheney, who's the originator of Project Sweetie Pie. He's also the organizer of the first Juneteenth celebration here in Minnesota, and has been involved in innovative thinking about what it means to be community, what it means to be self-sufficient, and what it means to cooperate for a long time in many ways. I often tell Michael, and I tell people when I'm talking about Michael, how he always strikes me with his visionary ability to analyze the situation into the future. And once we were somewhere talking either on the phone or maybe in person, he said, Al, he was doing his gardening thing, which he's doing now. He said, Plymouth Avenue is the new Nile. Plymouth Avenue can be the Nile Valley for our people. We can grow civilization right here on Plymouth Avenue, starting with the food we create, the lots that are fallow. We can cultivate them and teach ourselves and our children and each other how to grow food, but how to cooperate and collaborate in the doing, and how to, in doing that, beautify our community, ourselves, and beautify the world. Well, this conversation today is all about that. And no matter where you are a part of the process. This is a global conversation. It really is. I talked with a couple of Michael's colleagues on Wednesday, I believe, Sister Um, I'm going to betray my age here. Michael, go ahead and jump in with the name for my sister that was on. Sister Fleming, yeah, and brother from uh, the bus uh, project, Big Green.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, they were here with me Wednesday, and as I listened to them, I said, "Look, what you guys are talking about is revolutionary and subversive. You are challenging the status quo in ways that doesn't put the status quo in an enemy position, but it puts our liberation in a priority position. This is not about being mad at somebody else. It's about what we do, what we can do, and how if we keep doing this with each other, teaching and sharing, our numbers will continue to grow and the world will change because we've discovered how to be with each other and for each other. Well, Michael Cheney, brother, good to see you again. Welcome to the Conversation with Al McFarlane. As always, it's such a pleasure, man. What's on your mind? And I want to ask you to kind of co-pilot with me today and bring in other luminary guests to have this conversation today. What's on your mind, Brother Michael?
Well, as always, first of all, I want to thank you, Al, for your vision as a communicator and as a humanitarian and as a global leader, right? Uh, I may be unemployed, but I am somebody. That's really what it is that we're really harvesting. We're actually harvesting people's humanity. We're actually bringing them in. I like to say that we are. People ask me, "Am I a grower?" And I say, "Yeah, that's what I do that, but that's not really what I'm doing." They say, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "I am a egg patriot." I'm
Hmm.
using agriculture as a platform, as a forum, just the same way that you use the airwaves to get out the message. I'm using this as the connective tissue that joins us all. And it's my modus operandi is no different from the very first day that I dreamed of and worked with others who influenced me about Juneteenth is how do we come together as community? How do we create these ongoing modern day Amish barn builds?
Hmm.
So I'm going to start today's conversation the way that I start every gathering that I'm in, where two or more gather, there I shall be. North Minneapolis is going green. Give us a call and learn what we mean. Where once lie urban blight now sits luscious garden sites. Gardens without borders, classrooms without walls, architects of our own destinies, access to food, justice for all. And now, like sweet potato vines, our missions and goals now all intertwined. And so the people that I brought us together, Al, are also equally visionaries. These are folks who come from different walks of life, but who are intent on, committed to the uplifting of humanity, the transfer, lifting our communities up and out of poverty, and continuing the role of liberation. No more, no less than Harriet Tubman, no more, no less than Frederick Douglass, no more, no less than W.E. Du Bois, and that we have gathered here in North Minneapolis, the center of our universe, to really bring about our tagline at Project Sweetie Pie is planting the seeds of change. Project Sweetie Pie, the story of a community that came together, worked together for the common good of the youth and families of its community. For it takes a village to raise a child. We're growing good in the neighborhood. Good food, good schools, good youth and families. Education never tasted so good. And so that's really what we're doing is bringing in all of these folks. I always, when I think about the diaspora, Al, I always think about this incredible vase, right? It was this incredible piece of art that came out of the center of Africa. And it was dropped to the ground and it shattered into millions and millions of pieces. And the wind captured those shards of glass and pottery, and they spread all over the universe. And so, really, what we are doing as modern day griots, as modern day abolitionists, as modern day freedom fighters, we are really trying to really bring all of those pieces of shattered humanity back together. Because until we come together as humans, until we recognize that we have been broken, that the world has been broken, and if it all began as some stories would say in the Garden of Eden, what we are time travelers, and we're going back to the garden, and we're moving forward through space and time, really to do it right this time. And so I brought here today with you some folks who are on that path, who are following their purpose, finding their purpose. And one of our guests that is actually not here from Minnesota, but working with an agency, Elon Musk organization called Big Green, and they are here coming to town. The bus is, and we want to have everybody come out this coming Saturday to get on the bus. And so I want to start introducing, and I've been rattling on enough, but I want you to hear some of these other voices.
Before you do, before you do, let me react to your comments already, which I always do, and to thank you for being the visionary that you are. As you're speaking, the image in my mind was the prophet was standing in the valley of dry and broken dead bones, and the Creator asked him, "Can these bones live again?" And he said, "If it's your will, the answer is yes." And we have the old Negro spiritual that came out of that, dim bones, right? Where we used to sing in church, the bones connected, they connected, and a new human was formed. Well, I think that's what we're doing now. Mahmoud Al-Qadi talked about, Al, let's contemplate on the question of memory, of remembering. And it's at its shallow level, you forgot something, oh, I remembered. But think more deeply into the language and the meaning of it. To remember is to reconnect that which was dismembered. And what you're doing, Michael, is remembering, reassembling. You called it 1,000 shards, right? The memory on right now is the reconnection, the reassembly. And what we discover at the end of the day, we might have had some bandwidth issue here. Cooper, go ahead if you. There we go. So yeah, little technology there, but Michael, if you're back with us, if you're not, Sam, welcome. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good
Introduce yourself.
afternoon, Al.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so hi.
And Britt, how are you? Listen, here are the rules. Everybody jump in. You know, here's the idea. This is a conversation. And if you got something to say, just, you know, politely say, look, let me add to that. Let me build on it. But this is building, connecting as we're speaking. Go ahead, Sam.
Oh, well, good afternoon, everybody. So my name's Sam Kaintop. I am the director of programs at Big Green. And just, oh my gosh, the visionary kind of foundational introductions that both of you have launched into this conversation is, I think, exactly the work that I'm here to participate in and contribute to. And so just I'm grateful to be here with all of you, and looking forward to digging into this beautiful rich earth a little more with you all.
Well, Sam, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Big Green? You're our guest to our community, and you know, as I searched the globe looking for like-minded individuals, you know, I came upon Big Green, who had a vision. Why don't you share with our audience and with Mr. McFarlane, really what is the vision and how Kimball got his start?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting us to participate with you in all this great work that you all are doing. Big Greens, our work is centered around the idea that growing food changes lives. And that's something that I myself have experienced for me and for my family. Growing up, my family didn't grow food. You know, I grew up in Chicago. I live in Chicago. And that's not something that we did in my home. And as I grew older, I had this amazing opportunity to move into a home where there was a little defunct, tiny little garden plot. And I've always been a lover of food and eating and cooking food. And, I connect with my family around the traditions that we have. And, all of my favorite recipes are from my great grandmother and her grandmother that have been passed down in my family and all of those things. And so when I had the opportunity to grow my own food, like the light went off, and I started around food, but since then it's expanded in so many ways. I grow I grow herbs that are medicine for myself and my family and the people I'm close to. I think of myself as a caretaker of the earth. And also as somebody who is able to then take those experiences that I've had that have changed me and open up that experience and invite other people to share their own experiences and connect around just that power, that being deeply connected to our place, to all of our, I really like the indigenous ideologies of kinship, to all of our relatives that we're connected to, because that's who we are. And so at Big Green, what we do is we do that at as big as we can. So we work at a national level, and we bring gardens to people and communities, to grow at home, to grow in schools, to grow in community environments. We also bring funding to local nonprofits who are doing that work to help to just bring dollars and resources to the work. And then we contribute in the ways that are most make the most sense. Always really working alongside and kind of in support of the people who are leading in the communities where they're working. So yeah, that's what Big Green does, and that's kind of a little bit about me and how I connect personally to this mission, and kind of what I try to bring to my work every day and contribute to Big Green's work and our mission.
Tell us a little bit about the bus tour that you have. And again, I saw it a week or so ago. Kimball was on air with Al Roker, and now that same bus that was being showcased in there is coming to town Saturday at Oak Park Neighborhood Center. So tell us a little bit about, Sam, about your mission of taking where people can come and get on the bus.
Well, Michael, I always hear you talk about thinking locally and thinking globally and acting locally. The bus, I think, is a little bit of that. We're always trying to think through and work towards exposing more people to the opportunity to grow food, to inspire people to say like, hey, this is something that you can do, and also then bring the resources. So, across this bus tour, we started in Texas, in Austin and San Antonio, and moved up through Memphis and Atlanta, Georgia, and Savannah, and up to New York. Now we're here in Minneapolis. We've been working with our local partners to distribute gardens, pass out grow bags and seeds and gardening materials. So people who are coming, they might be gardeners themselves already and they need a little bit more. They might be people who have never gardened before and want to give it a shot. And so we try to bring that inspiration, and we try to bring those resources to just make it easy, right? And if we're doing it in a small level in one place, we know that we can do it bigger. And so the bus is a great way for us to bring attention, shine a spotlight, get some great attention like we're having right now, on all of the beautiful work that's already being done, and how we can contribute to that in a way that's, that's shiny and bright and new and is attractive and brings more people into the conversation.
Michael, you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep it rolling.
Well, again, this was, that's how I first got connected with Big Green, Al, is they had an initiative called the Ultimate Garden Party. Project Sweetie Pie applied. That was their inaugural launch of that initiative. Project Sweetie Pie applied, and we were selected in their maiden voyage. And so that established this relationship with Big Green. But I didn't want to see it just be a media event, a one and done. And so we continued to carry on the conversation. Kimball was creating a thing called the Big Green DAO, and the event was so successful. We brought the Sounds of Blackness. We brought sustainability directors from the state, from the county, and the city together, because I really wanted to build the idea, not just do one and done, but I wanted to create sustained effort and to really bring it to scale. And so we did the event. Big Green started the Big Green DAO, which is a granting opportunity. And so, Sam, talk a little bit about, for the sake of any of our growers that are on the call here today, talk a little bit about Big Green, the Big Green DAO.
Yeah, so the DAO, we talked about Big Green as a grant-making organization, and the Big Green DAO is, I think, probably our most successful endeavor in that we have created this community of grantees who are just like Project Sweetie Pie, doing this work in the places where they're at all across the country. And the way that the DAO works is that there was initial committee of I think 6 members, of which Project Sweetie Pie was one. And they reached out to their people in their networks who are doing similar work and said, these are organizations that are really, really putting it in and making impact in their communities. And we're going to fund that work. We're going to stand behind them and we're going to invest in that. And their collective decision-making then created an expanded group. And then that group then was able to vote on the next round of invite their peers into the circle and vote on which of those peers were, should receive funding from the DAO. And so that's how we've continued. And as we've grown and as the organization, kind of the collective work of that organization have evolved, and we've continued to fund more organizations, we've also started to observe and recognize that there's some kind of foundational needs and opportunities in those organizations. So like website developing and marketing and storytelling and things that are, critical across the board for young, smaller nonprofit organizations that as a DAO, we can collectively invest in and kind of raise that, those resources up for all those organizations. So it's a combination of both funding and investing in the talent and kind of capacities of those organizations as well. Really built on that idea of collective, a collective work.
So Sam and Michael, let me ask.
So some of that funding that we've given here, Al, we've given funding to Appetite for Change. Mm-hmm. We've given funding to Pillsbury United. We've given funding to Zin Kalaluta, an indigenous organization. Shirley Sherrod down in Albany, Georgia. She has an 1,800 former slave plantation. So we were able to fund her. And so part of my work going out to Washington, D.C. last week was to really work with 10 other Black farm organizations around the country. And so those will be some of the agencies that we will now bring to the DAO to really see if we can get them funding so that they continue to do the great work that they're doing.
Well, how does the funding happen? What do you do to create sustainable funding? How do these organizations, in your mind, move towards being self-sustaining over the long run? What is the economic change model that you are working and developing in this process?
That's an excellent question, because we're still working in the nonprofit kind of industrial complex economic and environment that we're in. But so DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, and it's a organizing and kind of governance structure that evolved out of Web3 and kind of crypto. It's not cryptocurrency, but it's in that world. And so a lot of the initial funding for the work really has come from the wealth that has been generated in that space. And then rather than those fundings, those dollars being directed by and controlled by the people who have the dollars and the philanthropists who are contributing, we're trying to really flip that model so that the dollars are being directed by the organizations who are doing the work. They see the need, they see the results, they see the impact, they know firsthand with their eyes, with their ears, with their connections, what's happening. And so, who's better to care for and steward those funds? And then really the proof is in the pudding of what is happening in, you know, across the sector, the food justice, food growing sector, especially. I mean, it's across the board. It's in urban agriculture. It's in school gardens. It's in rural communities. Everybody eats. Everybody needs to grow food, and we're working to create a new food system that is feeding all of us in ways that are just and right. And so our kind of vision, the work for the sustainability of the program is that it's going to continue to function and work in a way that's more efficient, more effective, more direct, getting the dollars exactly where they need to be. And again, the proof's in the pudding, so that marketing, like this bus tour, the people can see firsthand that this is working and something that is adding value and should be invested in.
Al, I'd like to turn to Pee Wee Dread to answer that question, because as he said, the proof is in the pudding, and Pee Wee is not only a gifted artist. You know, people lose sight that artists are oftentimes the visionaries for movements. And so not only is he a gifted artist, but he's an amazing entrepreneur who has really, I think, captured some models that we can all learn from and bringing value added. I like to say, Al, that a family recipe is a family business suffering from arrested development. And so we've got to think more than just talking about growing the food, growing the specialty crops. Because the margins are so small, I think there's some new innovative strategies that folks like Pee Wee Dread are working on, and he's got an amazing suite of initiatives that really capture the advancement of this food movement in very remarkable, creative, and innovative ways. And I'll let him sing his own song.
Well, I don't know how I follow that up, but I'm going to do my best. So one of the things that I do on Pee Wee Dread, greetings to everybody. Mr. McFarlane, God bless. You know, I've been following you for many, many years. Worked with your daughter for a long time when I was in the reggae scene, real tough in Minneapolis, but I'm still on the music scene. One of the things that I decided to do when I realized from working at the county that there was a disconnect between upward mobility in the community and how we were able to utilize nonprofits in a profitable way where they made an impact, and it wasn't just about just a project. So the project that we're at right now, the stage that we're at, primarily I started with Ghettos to Meadows to kind of piggyback on Michael's project Sweetie Pie, understanding that we have to take the green spaces, we have to take these spaces, create an added value product, which I did with Rasta Teas and created the hot sauce. And so I'll turn this in so you can see it. So we're partnering with the Westside Farmers Market as well to have other spaces where we support community efforts to get community markets in. I'm also expanded down in Louisiana with my Bayou Classic hot sauce, which is another product produced here in Minnesota as well as in Louisiana. And so what our goal is to continue moving in these spaces, creating the marketplace that the businesses can contribute into that economic security of the community that is supporting those companies. So one of the things that I want to do is create my hot sauce into a world's finest hot sauce model that allows for nonprofits like Project Sweetie Pie, even my own nonprofit, 40 Out of Poverty, to allow us to continue our mission. I have a 1 million meal march right now that's supported by Rasta Teas hot sauce. And what we do every time we sell products, we put meals back in the community with our partnership with Feeding America. I'm currently in talks with CVS to partner with them to help expand the 1 million meal march so we can reach our goal. But currently we're at 55,000 plus meals, and you can follow us at rostateas.com, because one of my initiatives is to have the businesses, some people don't like to give money, but they like to buy things. So if they buy the sauce, we'll provide the meals. And it creates a model that allows us to become sustainable and create sustainability by doing proper marketing, doing proper engagement in the community. I work with OCHC in St. Paul as a board member to keep community health and all these different initiatives that we're tying into one big bow so that anybody can utilize it, but primarily to support Black and brown communities that have been disadvantaged. We're also in the cannabis space. I have CBD products as well. I have CBD coffee, CBD tea, CBD hot sauce, CBD lotions, body butters, sprays, you name it. I even have insect repellent because we live with helicopter mosquitoes in Minnesota as well as New Orleans, where I'm from. So, you know, my music is going on. So what we've been doing, we tied our shows into doing to tying in the whole process. So we have shows that bring in the people, that bring in the funds and the revenue, because we have to understand that revenue is more important than profit.
Mhm.
If you're able to leverage revenue properly, and we're teaching young entrepreneurs how to do with revenue. One other aspect that I'll bring into the table before I jump out is we do work with veterans as well, coming either out of incarceration or what have you. But one of the benefits of working with veterans, if you have a veteran-owned company that's minimum 51%, there's government set-asides for those companies. That's another revenue stream, that's government money that is available and that should be being taken advantage of, so we can spread it, you know, as far as those types of things allow for that connection, that connectivity. The music brings the people in, but we have to then convert those people into supporters. And we convert them by working with different organizations, showing our face in the community, doing publicity. I run billboards. You know, I do a lot of marketing consistently, you know, as far as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, before they ban it, and all the different things that we're able to do to connect our funds into the programs that we're working with and keep these tied up. I've been a nonprofit for 13, 14 years in Minnesota, and we've been spreading and continue to spread the word. We do computers. We do, because the digital divide is huge in our communities. We spend computers in Minneapolis, Jamaica, all over the globe, because we know that no matter what, if we're able to connect and support our youth and support those folks and help them get to where they need to be with dignity and agency, then we're building something in our community. Dan Pilatus said something really strong back in 2014. Nonprofits have a hard time with marketing because it takes money that can't be put into the program. But if we don't properly market our programming and properly market things that we're doing, then we can't be like Elon Musk, Kimball's brother, who's very good at marketing and making sure that you have to pay attention to whatever they're doing. So we need to have people, in a sense, off balance, that we're always coming out with the next best thing, but we're able to empirically follow the trail where a dollar comes in equals 10 meals. $10, that's 100 meals. So I'm able to find metrics and ways to actually follow what's actually going on. Are people able to get access? Because we can't help everybody, but we can create access for everybody. And I think that's one of the modules that allows for this connectivity between business, community, and community engagement.
So one of the things,
I'm extremely interested in what we're going to do in the cannabis space. So let's make a footnote here to come back, because I want to have an ongoing
Yes.
and in-depth conversation about equity and opportunity in the cannabis space. So we'll come back to that. Thank you. Go ahead, Michael.
well, I just want to make the connection what Pee Wee has really done here. Through his arts and entertainment, he is doing the same thing that Obama and Norman Lear did. That's how Obama was able to win the election, because he realized that he had to wed his political campaign to the American culture and through athletics, our sports franchises, and the musical celebrityhood that we as African Americans have brought to this country. But we haven't utilized and captured that kind of notoriety, fame, and success. So what Pee Wee has really done, I always like to say the only and probably the most successful nonprofit in America ultimately was the Girl Scouts. They created a Girl Scout cookie that became really their calling card. You may not even you might thought they were god awful, but you supported them because they were training the next generation of young leaders in entrepreneurship through their cookies. So we're taking some of Pee Wee's products, value-added products, and we're translating it out to the marketplace. So Project Sweetie Pie recently has bought a piece of property on Broadway and Thomas, and we're creating the Black Star Line fruit and vegetable emporium. So we're bringing value-added products that he has created, and we're bringing it to our community to young people so that we can go door to door, we can go direct and really getting our community to invest in ourselves rather than investing in everybody else's success. And that's what we really have to change is really, I always like to say that the way we will recognize equity is when the products that are sitting on our big box shelf are more reflective of the diversities of our community. And that's exactly what Pee Wee is doing. So we're going to start selling door to door, just like those Girl Scout cookies, just like those kids that used to sell almond bark candy bars. We're going to be bringing the product to our celebrations like Juneteenth, Cinco de Mayo. We're going direct.
And to add to that, it creates an opportunity for some of them. When you mentioned the athletes. So right now, athletes have the biggest opportunity to create money through NILs or name and likeness deals. So Rasta Tees is already partnering with young people in Atlanta. I want to partner with young people here that want NIL deals, and we'll start creating that module because that's another marketplace that's untapped in the Black community, but we're the main people that are being promoted and marketed.
Well, I call all of this revolutionary. One thing that people have heard me say is too often in our culture, our society, in our country, we get the misery and they get the money.
You're right.
And it means that our misery is a source of profitability for others, right? But the equation has to be upended, turned inside out, upside down, and smashed, destroyed. And I hear you talking about doing that because what you're saying is that we need to start seeing ourselves not as the problem, but as the solution. And you are bringing us forward as solution makers. We are the solution to the problem. Listen, let's bring some other people in. But before we do, let me do a station break and Michael introduce other guests. This is a great conversation. Thank you all so much for being here. Station break and come right back. If you've not done so, consider getting vaccinated against the COVID-19 virus. At vaccine.gov, enter your zip code, your preferred vaccine type, and you get a map with locations eager to serve you. Getting vaccinated saves lives. Vaccine.gov can help you do your part. There we go. And then if you're listening anywhere, we want to hear your voice. So there's a comment section. You got a comment to make. We'd love to hear it. Shout out to Michelle. She's a regular viewer and supporter. And if you're new to the conversation or are here and haven't chimed in, we want to hear your voice as well. Drop a comment here, drop a note, or even send an email to Cooper, our producer, Cooper at Insight News, and we can bring you into the conversation as well. Michael, let's keep going.
Well, I want to bring in Britt Howell right now because, our communities have been upheld when we talk about health, wealth, and well-being. It's been held up by the women in our community that have really been holding it down. So I want to bring in Britt and Levon, both who are very active in health and well-being and have been real pioneers in a lot of different fronts. Britt is well known in the arts and entertainment world through all of the work that she's done amazingly. And her and Pee Wee and I, we go back probably 15 years where we were both on this mission to really create what I call a food-focused future, where ag meets food grows culture. And so, Britt, why don't you talk a little bit about your lifestyle and how you see it being integral to really raising the bar and really turning our communities, bringing success to our community.
Hello, everybody. First, I want to say hello and welcome to welcome my guest in town here. I'm Britt Howell with BF50 Indigenous Health. I am the garden lead for Minneapolis Park and Recreation, where I grow indigenous medicine. This year, for the first time, I'll be growing sacred tobacco. And I grow my own food and teach plant-based education. I have been vegan for most of my life. It's a long time. And so I really try, it's not just about being vegan. I really try to get folks to understand how veganism works with the environment. And so when I was asked to be part of this event by Catherine and Michael, I went and researched everything about Big Green. I probably know Big Green better than Big Green. So I have been following their efforts. Catherine first called me last summer. I started following their efforts then and became totally engrossed. And then I was invited to meet with them in November of last year. And from there, I gathered that what I do here and beyond here, including, DMV, because that's where I'm from, plus here in Minneapolis and Minnesota, I realized that their mission tied into everything that I believe in. And so one of the reasons I'm excited about this weekend is folks get to see on this big truck, as they call it, the big green truck. I put on the flyers. I think I put get on the bus, because they get a chance to see, feel, touch, and learn a lot about what plant-based food is, and about gardening, farming in a very eco way. One of the things that they have is this educational training. And what I liked about these garden beds is they don't just give you these garden beds and walk away and say, figure it out. No, with that comes growing bags, comes soil, healthy soil, and the planters. So they're training you and teaching you while also inviting you to be a part of this. I reached out to every single person I could. I became one of the principal organizers for Project Sweetie Pie for this event. And we have a large sum of people joining us this Saturday. I wasn't able to get all the sponsors, all the information into you all, but we have Minneapolis Park and Recreation. They're interested. They will be there. Of course, the city of Minneapolis is tying into this. We have so many great people who are working in the same space that we are. Michael and I have been working for quite some time together. We just completed our University of Minnesota Environmental Justice Conference, where we work and mentor the students of the Institute on the Environment. And I personally just finished also mentoring McAllister students environmental studies. And from there, they have built me a beautiful, great website where they brought on all of my partners, including Michael. And we may as well add you, Al. So they're doing a lot of work working with me. They'll be here with me this summer working in the garden. Minneapolis Park and Recreation is also bringing over a team to come and work here, because we're really trying to spread the word and get folks to really understand what growing your own food means and what it does for you. We see the prices when you go in a grocery store right now. Well, you can actually cut that down by just simply growing your own food. And one of my latest things that I'm doing is working with Minnesota Farmers Market Association as one of their farm profitability coaches, working alongside Sina War, who does a cultural diversity, engagement. And she's someone who's a powerhouse, who goes to all these farms, coach along with me, all of these farmers, to make sure that equity is at the top of what we're doing. So I'm happy to be here and happy to be a part of this conversation. And also Pee-wee Dredd. I've known Pee-wee Dredd since I moved to Minnesota. I've been working with Pee-wee since I got here. And then he introduced me to Michael. I call him my little brother. So every event I do, I call on Pee-wee Dredd. He could be somewhere, 3 hours away. He will rush back here and be a part of what I'm doing. And I appreciate that so much. So thanks for having me, Al.
That's awesome. Thank you for being here. How about Levon?
Greetings, everyone. My name is Levon Jones, and I am the founder of Sacred Woman Healing Circle. And I've been real invested. I'm learning, but I've been real invested in what we call in our group mastering accountability. We focus on that. The women in our group, we focus on giving back to our community, focus on the mother's love, focus on preventative health. I grew up, born and raised, North Minneapolis. As you mentioned, Brother McFarlane, Brother Michael Chaney being the founder of, or the first one to do Juneteenth here in Minnesota. Well, I was a part of the Black History pageant for the young ladies back then. And instead of it being a beauty pageant, it was a Black History pageant, and you had to display what you retained from the elders when they taught you about your people and who you are. So, me being kind of new in the growing field, being new in gardening and farming, I really, 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 really dedicate myself, my whole being. It's not about making money and profit. It is about teaching our youth and our children about the land and where they are. Our group, we forage in Minnesota. I have one of the mothers that are a part of the group. She's here with me. Her name is Clara Akbar Bey. She is also a birth doula. I learned my birth doula skills from her. So she taught me, and we're trying to, reach out and teach our youth. So I'm really excited to be a part of this. A little nervous. It's my first time, but I love it.
Michael, so what do you see as well? First of all, let me have you make the invitation for tomorrow, for Saturday, so people know they should come and where and when and how long and what's going to happen tomorrow. And you're muted. Unmute, Michael.
I'm going to turn that over to Britt.
Okay.
She's the hostess with the mostest.
Go ahead.
So I'll let Britt go ahead and give us all the details.
Hi again, everybody. So one of the things that we plan on doing, of course, we're going to open up with a proper land acknowledgement. We will have native drummers, spoken word artists. Our wonderful brother, PB Dredd, will serenade us with some music. From there, we're going to go into garden planter training. We have tree planting opportunities. So if someone wants to come in and get involved, if you want to come and learn how to properly plant trees, please show up. And we'll be remiss if we didn't mention that this is part of the Rito's Door Open weekend as well. So we have a lot of volunteer projects that's going to be going on. We have the city of Minneapolis coming in to plant ginkgo trees. So if anyone wants to come and learn how to plant ginkgo trees, join us. And of course, as you already know, Big Green will be doing some training on the planters that they have. There's photos that we have. I don't know if Michael has them on the website of the planters, but they're beautiful. It's not your average garden planters. It looks like architectural work. So much so that when I asked Minneapolis Park and Recreation, would they want me to have one here at Bridalveil, they were nervous because this Bridalveil is a beautifying garden. And I don't think they wanted to be upstage with that. So they said, let's reach out to some other gardens. So unfortunately, I will not have one at Bridalveil, but I will have them at other Minneapolis parks. We're going to have a BF50 coloring. It's called our calming coloring activity. And as you know, because we came on and promoted it before, the coloring book we're going to be coloring from is the Northside Green, Our Urban Canopy coloring book. Put together by Department of Natural Resources, University of Minnesota, Department of Health, Project Sweetie Pie, and yours truly, BF50 Indigenous Health. So we're going to have that going on. As a host of other things, we're going to have food from Dee Dee, who cooks with the Project Sweetie Pie over at Oak Park. And actually, she cooks like every week and gives all of that food out to community. So we're going green, staying green in North Minneapolis. So join us.
Pee Wee Dredd, brother, let me put you on the spot, and I think you can appreciate this. You probably can either, if you got something you're working on for tomorrow, or speaking some rhymes just for today. What's on your mind? Just drop some knowledge on us.
But see, they say that Africa still is my home, but see, that's still true. But yet they brought me to America, but I came here to take care of the brothers and sisters they put down. I'm doing my part to turn it around. I read the paper each and every day. Another brother died, his mama thrown away, but he's still crying all these tears of sorrow. But another brother's dead in the paper tomorrow. It won't stop. It will not pause. Violence still be the king and drugs still be the cause. They call us animals, illiterates. Busy they're still hiding. They won't help us to deal with this. They'll trick you, tell you not to trust me. My words is oil because justice is rusty. How long we gonna let ourselves suffer? Big Green. Word to the black brother.
All right. Love it. Love it. Michael, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that this is a conversation that should not stop. And my vision, Al, is unfortunately in our community, They have us chasing the police and the police chasing us, that these kind of progressive ideas and visions rarely get shared. And the more that we can assume the position, as they like to say, where we're going green, you don't have to be a genius to realize that much of the federal funding over the next 20, 30 years is going to go to address global warming. And my whole intent, why I've dedicated the last 15 years of my life to really moving us from taking us out of the trunk where they've got us thrown like a bag of kittens and moving us up into the driver's seat. And here are some of the engineers, some of the architects that really have the knowledge, the vision, and the skills that they have been sharing this journey with me. There's men and women like us all across this nation, and that it's time that Project Sweetie Pie, our tagline is inform, infuse, inspire, instruct. And our 4 stages are stage 1, scattered garden, stage 2, social media, stage 3, season extension, and stage 4, where we are right now, I call pi squared, green to the second power. And that's really looking at workforce strategies, infrastructure, and new and emerging green enterprises. So that's why today I wanted to share with you some of the vision and leadership of these folks, because health is wealth, and where we do a decent job or potentially in youth development, community development, we now have to, this is America, a free enterprise system. We really need to put the focus on economic development. So that's what we hope to do tomorrow. To Sam, what is the tagline for Big Green?
Is growing food changes lives.
Exactly. So come on, get on the bus, and we will be giving away some grow bags. We have these raised beds that we are going to be placing at schools, at daycare centers, at hospitals, at school systems, because we want to make sure that we're growing agency in our community and that all boats rise. And now through this raised beds that we are working in partnership, we have some infrastructure that we can actually kind of get people jump started and bring them into the green new world.
Let me take these last few minutes and ask each of you to kind of go back into your own personal history and your family history. And because the idea is that what you're doing represents that you're not here alone, that you are standing on somebody's shoulders. And I think it's always important and appropriate to acknowledge from whence we have come, and that sort of confirms where we're headed. Britt, let me ask you first, what's your genealogy story, your creation story? If I dropped in to your world today and asked you, who are you and what is your mission? Why do you exist? What's the elevator speech?
I am first and foremost Louise Ross Howe's daughter, a Choctaw Cherokee Indian, Irish and Black woman, and a Bayesian West Indian father who started growing food in the 3rd grade. I watched my mom plant food and grow it, and I thought it was magical. So the first thing I ever grew was tomatoes. Took them forever to grow. I was in West Virginia, and I thought it was a trick. And I said, this is, some mess. This is not going to happen. Came home from school one day, beautiful tomatoes on the vine. And from that day forward, I was sold. And by the time I was in the 4th grade, came home and said, I'm never going to eat meat again. And they start laughing. They said, good luck with that. And before you know it, everyone understood. They supported me as a child. And that's where I've been all my life, just eating healthy, growing food. And it comes from having someone who nurtured me and believed in what I was doing at such a young age. I had parents who said, this is what she wants to do, support her. And so they did. And so here I am, 55 years later.
Pee Wee Dread, same question, and I'll phrase it this way. Who are you and what's your mission? What's your relationship with the Creator and with creation?
Well, I always give thanks and remembrance to the Most High at all times, because without that energy, I'm not here. Uh, my parents, my family, actually Amazon has a documentary on my great grandfather, Abdul Rahman Ibrahim Ibn Sori, who was taken from Mali, Africa, to Futalajan province. He was a prince out there. It's a documentary called Prince Among Slaves, brought here, dropped off in Woodville, Mississippi on the Foster Plantation. That's how I get my surname Collins. As part of his children went with the Collins. But at that same token, I also have family that's related to Louis Armstrong, my grandmother who just passed after 100 years, that taught me about gumbo and taught me about growing things in her garden. And my grandmother from Faraday, Louisiana, that sat with Jerry Lee Lewistown and Jimmy Swagger, and she grew upper ground sweet potatoes and taught me how to make the best sweet potato pie you ever taste. I guarantee it. And gumbo and red beans. So I also have all these different things that are incorporated into who I am, my music, my entrepreneurship. My father was an accountant. My mother was a school teacher. So of course I'm a musician. So it just, all those things kind of came into who I am. And I realized that for me to stay connected to my community, I have to always bring back the Sankofa, like Mike and I talked about years ago, looking back to know where I'm going. Know that I have to give reverence and appreciation and love to all those that came before me, and then do better for those in front of me. Because the earth is not given to us by our parents. It's on loan to us from our children.
Sam, you probably get challenged from time to time about our description of the world as one in which we experienced a colonizer mentality, and that the change we're all looking for is how to dismantle what we call supremacist thought, with the objective being discovering the beauty of humanity, of every human being on the planet. And that beauty also is a beauty that requires us to have a different relationship with things that are living that might not be human, and things that exist that might not be animate, the natural world. What's your story? Who are you, and why do you exist?
Well, I'm the son of Ellen and Kirk Haintop, and the great grandchild of immigrants who came to this country, escaping genocide. And I think about a lot, my experience growing and being connected to plants and being connected to places of nature, and seeing myself as a part of that, not just the continuum of all of my ancestors who have come before me and their experience, but also my role in taking that forward for my children and like future generations to come, and my connections to all, like you're saying, all of our kin, all of the connections, all the living creatures of this earth. That depth, that diversity, the liberation that is in that, and like the ownership of that, the expression of the human experience in all of our own truths of what that is, and how that then connects us to each other and to all that's around us. That's where I come from, and that's where I stand on, and kind of all of the work that I try to do and bring to this work and share with all the people that I have the opportunity to connect with is really based on that knowledge and that experience and that perspective. And so when we're talking about decolonizing thought, decolonizing our actions, it goes so deep. The concept of whiteness and kind of what that means for me and who I am is toxic, but it's present. And so, dealing with that and addressing that for myself and then within our society is a project like gardening that is, hopefully it is not infinite and we will come to an end and we have a new reality that we can create and birth with all of our efforts. But it is a constant struggle to reclaim and own that as somebody who exists within it.
Levon, when you go into your mind's eye, describe to me how we will all be in 2124, not us personally in these bodies, but we as inhabitants, our kin and our descendants, what will we have created for them to say, this is what our ancestors set us out to do? Levon, what do you think?
Well, first I'd like to, say that I am the organic woman of the land. I am a direct descendant of the source of the descendants of the heaven and the earth. And I feel that it is like how we're doing it is our task to educate and enlighten our youth. I think that in 2024 that we are definitely headed toward the idea and aspects of preventative health. Regenerative health is the future, and we are moving full steam ahead. And I am dedicated to the liberation of the people. I am dedicated to the liberation of those who are in bondage. I am dedicated to the liberation of the Black woman and her seed as the source of the land, teaching our youth who do not know
Did I
who
see?
they are. Yeah.
Do you have a Kemetic name? Did I see a Kemetic name in your description earlier, or not?
Yes.
Maybe it wasn't.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Let me greet you with Ankh Uja Seneb.
Okay, I say.
and it means I wish you life, I wish you prosperity, and I wish you health.
Oh yeah.
In
Thank
the
you.
Kemetic tradition. So speak to that. Speak to the building block, and speak to the notion of divine speech.
Boy, that's a. Oh, I've been doing some research, and I've been doing studying on frequency and light. I've been doing research. Does how does that figure into our reality? You know, how that figures into how we think, because our thoughts, like we know, become actions. It's not just the speaking part, it's the thinking part. In our group, like I said, our goal is to master accountability. If we do not master that, especially as women and mothers, we are the first teachers. We are the first teachers. And what are we teaching our children? What are we raising? So our thoughts are directly connected to the land, are directly connected to the food. They say don't make food or do things out of anger. You want to, what we call, because I have a whole list of aunties, and when you prepare something for someone, what are you thinking about? Make your food with love. And I believe that is, we are regaining and reclaiming and restoring that idea. And I think that will also help to progress us and push us even further. So that's what I think.
That's awesome. Michael, let me have you close with this question and meditation or contemplation. And that is what, Michael, what will you and I and Sam do in examining the harm of patriarchal hierarchy? What have we wrought? What is it that allowed us to pursue the shorthand, the shortcut of violence versus the long path of education, of regeneration, and of cooperation? And how do we deal with that now? What do you see? What do you say? Unmute.
I'm gonna answer that question. The way I best speak is through spirit and through poetry. And I was commissioned by Kimball and Big Green last year to come to their big fundraiser, and they asked me to write a piece to summarize where I saw the future and the work that they and Project Sweetie Pie was doing. So I'm going to share that with our audience, and it's called "How Does Your Garden Grow?" Food is a peace offering, a blessing from above. Each seedling grown, it is an olive branch, planted and then nurtured by love. Let your laughter ring like thunder. Let your joy peel like rain. Come run your fingers through some rich black soil and then watch that richness heal your trauma and your personal pain. Let your harvest be your bounty. Let generosity and altruism be your fare. When we grow food together, kindness and compassion becomes the true currency that we share. For growing food changes lives. I know, for I am a witness too, that a garden is a thing of beauty and wonder, one of nature's many jewels. As an urban farm practitioner, I've grown. I've become a true believer over time that growing food changes lives. I know, because growing food has changed mine.
That's a mic drop. Listen, sisters and brothers, thank you so much. Tomorrow at Oak Park, right? From what time to what time?
Brett?
Britt?
Brett?
Unmute Britt if you can.
Sorry, I'm here. It's
Yeah.
going to be from 10 to 5. So 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Oak Park. And the address is 1701 Oak Park Avenue, North Minneapolis.
See you all there. Take care. I'm Al McFarlane. This is The Conversation. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. And thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.